Britain, a land steeped in history, wrapped in mist, and echoing with forgotten footsteps. Behind every cobblestone street and ancient church lies a secret, sometimes whispered in ghost stories, other times carved into blood-soaked headlines. But some tales were never told in full, some names were never caught, and some crimes still scream in the silence of the archives. In the countryside, phantoms knock on cottage doors. In the cities, shadows watch from alleyways. And sometimes, a chill runs through the spine, not because of the cold, but because something is not quite right. Are you ready to uncover the truth? To walk through a land where the past never sleeps and the dead never rest? Let us begin with the most infamous killer of them all, a phantom who haunted London's darkest streets, the butcher of Whitechapel, Jack the Ripper. In the autumn of 1888, London was gripped by fear. A serial killer roamed the foggy streets of Whitechapel. He killed at least 5 women, all sex workers. His attacks were brutal, surgical, and terrifyingly precise. The world would come to know him by one name: Jack the Ripper. The first known victim was Mary Ann Nichols, found in August 1888. Her throat was slashed, her body mutilated. In the next few weeks, more women were killed: Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, then Mary Jane Kelly. The most horrific scene of all. Victims were attacked at night in dark alleys. Some had organs removed. One even had her heart missing. Londoners panicked. Newspapers screamed, "A monster is among us." The police received strange letters, some signed Jack the Ripper. One letter even included a piece of human kidney. Hundreds of suspects were questioned: doctors, butchers, foreign immigrants. Even Prince Albert Victor, a member of the royal family, was rumored. Shockingly, author Lewis Carroll was once considered a suspect, but no one was arrested. No evidence matched. The killer seemed to know the streets and how to disappear. Smart, calculated, and always one step ahead. And then, he vanished. Why did the killing suddenly stop? Did Jack die? Was he jailed for another crime? Or did he simply leave London? No one knows. Some believe Jack's name is buried in old police files, missed, overlooked, forgotten. The mystery still haunts the streets of Whitechapel. And to this day, the shadow of Jack the Ripper still lingers in London's fog. Jack was the first modern serial killer, but not the last. Britain has seen many other chilling cases, disappearances, hauntings, and crimes that no one can explain. While Jack the Ripper haunted London in the 19th century, nearly 100 years later, a different kind of terror struck. Not in the shadows this time, but in broad daylight. And this time, the victim vanished without a trace. July 28, 1986. 25-year-old Susie Lamplugh, a London real estate agent, left her office for a house showing. She wrote in her work diary, 12:45, meet Mr. Kipper at Shorolds Road. Susie was never seen again. Susie's car was found later that evening, parked oddly in a different neighborhood. Her purse was inside. The keys were missing. There were no signs of struggle, no witnesses, no body. Police searched for Mr. Kipper, but no such person was ever found. Some speculated he was a fake name, a trap to lure Susie out. The media went into a frenzy. The public was terrified. A woman could just vanish during lunch hour? Years passed. The case remained cold. Then, a suspect emerged: John Cannon, a convicted rapist and murderer. He had been released from prison days before Susie vanished. Creepy coincidence. In prison, he was known by a nickname: Kipper. Cannon matched the psychological profile. He had a history of targeting women, but there was no hard evidence, no confession, no witnesses. He was questioned but never charged. In 1994, Susie was legally declared dead, but her body has never been found. Her parents searched until the end of their lives. In 2018, police dug up a garden in Sutton Coldfield, but again, found nothing. The case remains open. To this day, no one knows what happened to Susie Lamplugh. All that remains is a single note in a diary, and the name Mr. Kipper. A girl disappears in the middle of the day, just like that. No trace, no goodbye. But in other cases, it wasn't just people disappearing. It was objects that brought misfortune. Susie Lamplugh vanished in broad daylight, leaving no trace behind. A person, a life, can disappear as if they never existed. But some mysteries don't come from people. They come from the objects around us, like a painting. The Crying Boy, a mass-produced painting from the 1980s in the UK. It showed a young boy with sad eyes, silent tears, hung in thousands of homes. People thought it was just an emotional artwork. Until the fires began. By 1985, British newspapers started reporting. Several homes burned to the ground, but the Crying Boy painting survived untouched in the ashes. Dozens of fires shared the same eerie detail: house destroyed, painting intact, and always the same boy's image. Panic spread. Some priests called it a cursed object. People rushed to take it down, burn it, or throw it away. Rumors spread. The boy in the painting was an orphan. The real child had died in a fire. His vengeful spirit, trapped in the artwork, now seeks to destroy what he never had. People said whoever kept the painting faced illness, bad luck, or fire. Skeptics argued otherwise. The artwork was printed on fire-retardant material. That's why it survived. It was all coincidence and mass hysteria. BBC investigated. Scientists tried burning the painting, and it didn't catch fire easily, unlike regular paper. But what truly chilled people was the pattern. Why, out of all wall decor, did this one painting appear in dozens of fire cases? Why was it always found intact, in the center of destruction? To this day, the Crying Boy remains one of the most feared cursed objects in the UK. Cursed paintings that survive flames, superstition, mystery. But what if the next horror doesn't come from canvas, but from the face of a killer? As Britain stepped out of the ashes of war and into the swinging 60s, a different kind of fear gripped the streets of Glasgow. This time it wasn't art that haunted the people, it was a man. Glasgow, in the 1960s. As night fell, the city trembled with fear from a string of brutal murders. The killer was nicknamed Bible John, a polite, well-dressed man who left behind death and dread. 3 women, Patricia Docker, Jemima MacDonald, and Helen Puttock, were brutally murdered after nights at the Barrowland Ballroom. Each was beaten and strangled. Each was last seen leaving the dance hall with a soft-spoken, well-dressed man who quoted the Bible and then vanished. No DNA, no fingerprints, only faint descriptions from grieving relatives. Patricia Docker, a 25-year-old nurse, was the first victim. She told her family she was going to a dance. Her body was found in a lane near her home, naked, strangled. Jemima MacDonald, 32, was a mother of 3. She loved dancing. Her body was discovered in an abandoned building 3 days after she went missing. Helen Puttock was the last victim, only 29 years old. She had been out with her sister Jean. They both met the killer at the ballroom. Only Jean came back. Jean Puttock remembered the man clearly. He said drinking was a sin. He quoted scripture. He talked about Jesus. He had reddish hair. He stood about 6 feet tall. He had a soft Glaswegian accent. It was the only time someone saw Bible John's face. And even then, No arrest was made. Decades later, a name emerged: Peter Tobin, a convicted serial killer who murdered at least 3 young women in the 1990s. Tobin lived in Glasgow during the Bible John killings. He matched the physical description. He was deeply religious and often used aliases. One of those aliases? John Semple. Detectives began to wonder, had Bible John never disappeared? Had he simply changed his name and kept killing? Peter Tobin died in 2022. He never confessed. He took his secrets to the grave. If he truly was Bible John, then he killed, vanished, and lived on. If not, then Bible John is still a ghost, a shadow in Glasgow's past. One thing is certain, he was never caught, and we may never know the truth. The mystery of Bible John may have faded from the headlines, but its echoes still haunt the foggy streets of the UK. Some crimes vanish in the shadows, while others return in the most unexpected ways. In 1994, in a quiet suburb of London, the body of a man was found slumped on a bench in a public park. No ID, no wallet, no visible wounds, just a neatly dressed man in a suit and trench coat, dead, with no apparent cause. But tucked into his coat pocket was a small torn piece of paper. On it, 2 chilling words were printed: Tamam Shud. Detectives were stunned. Tamam Shud. The exact same phrase found in the pocket of a dead man on Somerton Beach in Australia, back in 1948. Was it a copycat? A hidden cult? Or something else entirely? The British man had no known connections to Australia, no travel history, no digital trace. His fingerprints? Not in any database. His DNA? Didn't match any missing persons. A closer look at the man's suit revealed tailor marks from a small shop in Glasgow, Scotland. But the tailor had no memory of him. Even stranger, the stitching style was from the 1950s, yet the thread used was modern, only sold in the 90s. And the paper with Tamam Shud, identical in font and fiber to the one found in 1948. But the ink? Fresh. Some theorists believe it was a symbolic message. Others suggest a time traveler or an immortal agent trying to warn us. No one came forward to identify the body. The man was buried in an unmarked grave. To this day, the identity of the British Tamam Shud man remains as much a mystery as the original case in Australia. A man with no name, a paper with no answers. But across London, just 5 years later, another case would shake the nation. This time, the victim was no stranger. She was loved, admired, and in the spotlight. And yet, she was murdered in broad daylight, on her own doorstep. April 26, 1999. A quiet morning in Fulham, West London. Jill Dando, a beloved BBC journalist and TV presenter, had just returned to her home. She unlocked the door, and within seconds, a man appeared from behind, pressed a gun to her head, and pulled the trigger. One single shot. Execution style. Jill collapsed instantly, and the killer vanished into thin air. Neighbors heard nothing. No scream, no chase, just silence. The killer was cold, calculated, and quick. The bullet was rare. A 9mm Parabellum, fired from a modified pistol. No security cameras captured the scene. No fingerprints. No witnesses. Was it a stalker? A crazed fan? Or something darker, like a professional hit? One man, Barry George, was arrested and convicted. But years later, DNA evidence cleared him. He was released, and the case was back to square one. Jill Dando's murder shocked the UK. She was the nation's sweetheart. Why would anyone want her dead? Was she investigating something? Did she know too much? To this day, no one knows who killed her, or why. A single shot silenced her forever. But the questions only grow louder. A high-profile crime, a shocking murder in broad daylight. And yet, no answers. But not all disappearances in the UK are violent. Some simply vanish, without a sound, without a reason. In 2007, in the town of Doncaster, South Yorkshire, 14-year-old Andrew Gosden left home as if it were a normal school day. But instead of going to class, he went to the bank, withdrew all his savings, $200, and walked to the train station. There, he bought a one-way ticket to London. He was last seen on CCTV at King's Cross Station at 11:25 a.m. After that, nothing. No phone, no email, no footprints. Andrew was a quiet, brilliant student. No history of trouble, no sign of distress. Why did he leave? Why London? And most chilling of all, he didn't tell a soul. Some believe he went to meet someone he met online. Others suggest he intended to start a new life. But after 15 years, there's still no trace. Even with age progression technology, tips, and reinvestigations, Andrew Gosden remains one of the most baffling missing children cases in British history. No body, no crime scene, just a boy, swallowed whole by the city. Every year, Andrew's family marks the anniversary, hoping, waiting. But as time passes, hope becomes quieter. And the question still echoes, where did Andrew Gosden go? From a teenager vanishing into the crowds of London, to a secret agent found dead, locked inside a bag. Britain's capital has many layers, and some secrets are zipped shut forever. August 2010. London. Inside a luxurious flat in Pimlico, a maintenance worker makes a horrifying discovery. In the bathtub, there's a large red sports bag. Inside is the body of Gareth Williams. Gareth was no ordinary man. He worked for GCHQ, seconded to MI6, Britain's secret intelligence service. A code breaker, a genius, a ghost in the system. But now, he was dead, naked, folded tightly, locked inside a North Face bag, and the zipper secured with a padlock from the outside. The police are baffled. There's no sign of forced entry, no fingerprints, no struggle. The door was locked from the outside. Even stranger, experts from the military tried to recreate the scene. None of them could lock themselves inside the same kind of bag, not even with months of training. So who zipped Gareth shut, and why? One theory points to a tragic accident. Some say Gareth was experimenting with claustrophilia, an interest in confined spaces. But family and friends reject that idea. He was meticulous, shy, and deeply private, not reckless. Another theory is far darker. Gareth worked in cybersecurity. Some claim he had access to sensitive information. Was he silenced? By foreign spies? By his own agency? Years passed. No suspects. No answers. In 2012, the coroner declared the death unnatural and likely criminal. But MI6 refused to comment. The truth remains locked away, just like that bag. As we close the file on Gareth Williams and the MI6 mystery, we now arrive at the final case in this chilling journey across the UK. A case that haunts millions to this day. The disappearance of a little girl on a family holiday. May 3rd, 2007. Praia da Luz, a peaceful seaside village in Portugal. The McCann family, visiting from the UK, is enjoying a holiday with friends. That evening, while the parents dine just a short walk away at a tapas bar, 3-year-old Madeline is left asleep in the family's holiday apartment with her younger twin siblings. At 10 p.m., Kate McCann returns to check on the children. Madeline's bed is empty. The window is open. The shutter raised. Panic erupts. Within minutes, the resort is on high alert. Staff and guests search the surrounding streets. Local police are called, but there is no trace of Madeleine. A guest later reports seeing a man carrying a small child in pajamas at around 9:15 p.m. The man has never been identified. News spreads like wildfire. The face of a missing girl with wide blue eyes and blonde hair dominates newspapers across Europe. The world begins to watch. Portuguese police begin their inquiry, but confusion grows. The apartment wasn't sealed as a crime scene until the following day. Evidence was possibly lost. British investigators soon join the case. Sniffer dogs are brought in. Media swarms the town. Fingers point in every direction, even at Madeleine's parents. They are declared official suspects, arguidos, but later cleared. Theories emerge. A kidnapping by a child trafficking ring. A burglary gone wrong. A planned abduction by someone watching the family. Or something more sinister. In 2020, a new suspect makes headlines. Christian Bruckner, a convicted sex offender from Germany who had lived near Praia de Luz in 2007. Phone records place him in the area the night Madeleine vanished. But even now, no charges have been filed. There is no confirmed evidence tying him directly to the crime. Nearly 2 decades have passed. Thousands of leads, hundreds of false sightings, and dozens of investigations, but no answers. Madeleine McCann's disappearance remains one of the most heartbreaking and baffling cases in modern history. What happened to her that night in Portugal? Was it the work of a lone predator, a larger network, or something yet to be uncovered? So many lives lost in the shadows, so many questions left unanswered. From the fog-filled alleys of Victorian London to the cold, secure halls of MI6, Britain's deepest secrets remain buried in silence. Are these just isolated tragedies, or fragments of a hidden truth someone doesn't want us to see? We may never know the full story, but as long as the questions remain, we will keep digging through the darkness in search of the light. If you're drawn to the world's darkest and most baffling mysteries, subscribe now and join us as we explore what lies beneath the surface. And if there's a case you want us to cover, leave a comment below.